It is always good to see you. Welcome back to American Black Journal.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So let's start for people who may not know anything about the downtown boxing gym with you explaining what goes on here.
So we pick up the kids from school or home at no cost. We have our own transportation. We bring them to the gym. They come in and they go to the designated area, which may be reading, which may be math, computer, or whatever we may have going on. It could be something as like a financial literacy course may be going on, or it could be a cooking class going on. So they find the designated areas where they should be, and they go to those areas. Our science class, our homeroom class, and stuff like that. And after they get finished with that, they go into our sports and wellness part of the program, which is, you know, boxing,
Yeah.
basketball,
Boxing, right?
lacrosse, hockey, whatever that sport may be for the day.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah. And talk about that link between the work that the kids do here and the play, the activity. That's a big part of what makes this a special place.
So here, the motto is books before boxing. That's our motto, books before boxing, and that's before anything. Education has to be plan A, not plan B. You know, education is your plan A. It's not your backup plan. So, you know, we take pride in making sure that our academic thing is first and foremost. So you have to, we test our youth quarterly to make sure where they are, make sure they're not behind grade level, make sure they're where they should be or above. And we make sure they go through those sections, like I said before, reading, math, anything else they might need help with. And from that point on, now it's about having a healthy body. Now your mind is strong. Now we need to make your body strong to go along with that mind. And so we do sports sampling, exercise, you know, just regular general push-ups, sit-ups, and the whole calisthenics routine.
Yeah.
And of course we got a couple boxers.
Right. A couple.
A couple.
Just a couple.
A couple boxers.
I've always thought that this was such a personal project for you and something that grew out of your own experiences. Talk about what led you to the idea that this is what the city's young people needed.
It was my own experience. You know, I went through Detroit Public School. I never learned how to read and write, but I was still passed from grade to grade. And throughout my years, I found out that a lot of guys that I grew up with and young women could not read or write, yet they made it to the 12th grade and graduated. And, you know, some people went off to college and came back home of course, they couldn't keep up. But, you know, I ended up dropping out early on because I realized that, like, I can't read or write. I need to do something because nobody was inspiring me. Nobody was telling me anything positive. It was always, you're going to be dead in jail before you're 21. Nobody said, hey, man, what's really going on? What's the reason why you can't focus in class? What's the reason that you're acting out? And from the 3rd grade on, it's like, you know, I was just being kicked out of school or passed along. And so when I made the choice to change my life, after my brother pointed out to me that there's nothing but death and destruction in your neighborhood, there's no resources in your community, I decided to make a choice. And I was like, man, you know, what is it that I want to do? Because he asked me, he said, what you want to do with your life? And I had to answer that simple question. I was like, man, what do I want to do? And the only thing that I could think of was I wanted to learn how to read. You know, just not knowing how to read, you're always hiding in the shadows. You're always behind, you know, hoping somebody don't find you out. And so I went back to school and, you know, tried my best to learn in school, but, you know, it was a hard road. Yeah. It was tough.
Yeah. When you see the kids who come here today, do you think of yourself?
Of course. I see myself in every kid that walks through the door. I mean, you know, a lot of guys are dealing with issues nobody know. And through sports, we can actually find out what's going on, because in that hour of play, you can find out more about a person than a lifetime of questions. So when you're playing and laughing and joking and having fun, you can ask some of the critical questions and they'll be willing to answer you because you're here every single day. Yeah. And I make sure that I'm here every single day. I make sure that these doors are open every day that we're supposed to be open. And the kids come here and they feel home, they feel welcome, they feel like a part of a family. And we mentor by giving our testimony and what happened through our lives and how they can avoid some of the pitfalls that we fell into.
Yeah. So. When you started this, where were the kids before? What were they doing before there was the downtown boxing gym?
Well, in the community where I first started the gym, I mean, it was roughly around 30% of the kids in that neighborhood was graduating from high school and about 70% were dropping out. And so, I mean, you can just understand, you know what was going on. You know, if there's nothing for a kid to do, he will find something to do, or it'll find him,
Right.
or it'll find him or her. And so I picked the neighborhood and the location, and I came into that location, and I let it be known clear right out the bat that it was my way or no way. You know, it's books before everything. And so when kids came in that program, they understood that, and they started getting the results, and then it just was word of mouth, and it started spreading. And so we get kids from all over.
So we've just experienced this incredible disruption for a year and a half during the pandemic, and I am asking everybody how they manage that. I'm particularly curious about the kids here and how you were able to maybe help them get through what was a difficult time for everybody.
Yeah. You know, we heard the news about the shutdown Friday. I can't think of what the exact date, but it was on a Friday, and by Monday we were back up and running. We were actually going virtual. We were completely virtual. We sent home computers. We sent home PPE. Our staff started developing curriculum. We started sending the curriculum home to the children because, I mean, you know, we didn't want them to have any backslide. Yeah. You know, you get summer slide, but you don't want to have a whole year of slide, and you'll get so far behind. And so we found out that a lot of kids just had access to cell phones, and cell phones couldn't access a lot of the apps that they needed to do for school. Yeah. So we made sure that we, through our partners and our team, we got together and made sure all the kids had computers. And we, like I said, we not only dealt with the kids in our program, it would seem like a no-brainer. If you're sending food home to a kid that's in a program, he has 3 or 4 brothers and sisters who may be too young for the program or too old, you have to send food home for the whole family. So we gathered our resources and we sent food home to the whole family.
Wow. And the physical part of it had to go on hiatus for a time.
No, it
didn't, right?
No, it did not. And so we had virtual workouts. We were doing virtual workouts. I was like a infomercial. We were doing workouts online.
But talk about the first time you were able to bring people back together physically.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was good to see people's faces. You know, looking at people on a TV screen is one thing, but to have them here in the facility, you know, it felt like a little bit of normal for me. You know what I mean? Because we've been doing it since 2007, and so you know, since 2007, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't used to I wasn't used to them being physically in the building. So it felt good to have the kids back in the building.
Yeah. So there's this new documentary coming out about Muhammad Ali and the legacy that he leaves, not just in sport, but of course in civil rights and other kinds of activist issues. I really would love to know what he meant to you. I mean, as a young person growing up who's been interested in boxing.
So I'm not necessarily a boxing fan. I don't necessarily follow the sport itself. I love the discipline of the sport. I love what it brings to a person's character. It builds character. It's one of those sports where you have to show character. You have to show restraint. You have to be focused. You have to have a level of dedication to even be semi-good at it. Yeah. And so I love that aspect of it. So I didn't really follow boxing too much, but when I did have the opportunity to see boxing, and I would see somebody like Ali, he was an inspiration to people. He was an inspiration not just to people in my community, but to people around the world. You know, and then to hear his personal story and to hear some of the things that he did behind the scenes, he became the greatest in my eyes for his work outside of the ring. You know, that's the stuff that I like to hear. I like to hear those stories about what happens when the cameras go off. And he was a true example of what a human being should do when the cameras is off. Yeah. He inspired a generation, the youth, the old, the disenfranchised. He inspired a lot of people. So, I mean, he leaves a great legacy behind.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like the downtown boxing gym is part of that legacy, right? I mean, you are not just inspiring kids to get in the ring or other physical activities.
Yeah.
It's what they do and who they are outside of that really matters.
Yeah, to me, it's like, you know, of course you're going to come across some standout kids who may be athletically gifted, and that's cool. But the vast majority of people are never going to throw a professional punch in their life. Right. You know what I'm saying? To be totally honest.
Yeah.
And so we have to prepare the kids for life. And so what we do here, we train kids for life. We don't train kids to fight. We train kids for life. We give them all the tools they need to be successful as human beings, and so they can give back to the community in ways that's beneficial for the whole of humanity.
Yeah. You guys have also developed incredible partnerships with all kinds of organizations across the city. Talk about how important that is, that this is not just an outpost here on the east side, it's connected all over the city.
Yeah, you know, I tell guys this all the time. You know, when I was doing this by myself, it was a heavy lift. It was really heavy. It was heavy. It almost broke me. I mean, I ended up homeless. I went from 215, 218 solid muscle down to about 130 pounds, 40 pounds, roughly, somewhere around there. It was mentally draining, physically draining. But when I decided to open up my heart and open up my mind to I'm saying it's a community thing, but I'm trying to do it by myself. And once the community was allowed to be a part of it, a lot of hands made the lifting lighter. And so we made partnerships with a lot of people that's doing a lot of great work out here in the community, not just in the community, but nationwide, some worldwide. And so it's good to be a part of that global community.
Yeah. Did you ever believe when things were at their worst that you would be sitting in the middle of this really impressive organization that you are now?
To be honest and transparent, if I didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I would have gave up.
Yeah.
I've always saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're not at the end of the tunnel yet. And so I don't do any victory dances. I don't do any victory laps because there's a lot of work to be done. And so I want to still live in this truth and keep doing what we got to do to get it done.
What does the future look like around here?
The future around here? We're in the process of trying to replicate this program. You know, we want to replicate this program. We want to actually spread what we're doing, because we have a track record. We have a 100% graduation rate, and we want to spread that. You know, it's a lot of communities who call us all the time who ask for us to help them do this in their communities. And so now we're at a point where we believe that we're ready to do that.
Yeah. I want to go back and have you say that again. You have 100% graduation rate. That's just an unbelievable number in a city where we struggle so hard to get kids.
You know, and I'm glad that we're able to do that with our staff. We have a great staff. You know, they don't mind if you're in the 12th grade and they need to take you back to the second grade level and work on things that you didn't get in the second grade. I mean, there's no sense in pushing you forward when you don't know the basics of math or you don't even understand basic reading and writing techniques. So by us being we having that freedom, we can gear our curriculum around the child. We can go back. The schools can't do that, to my knowledge. I'm not trying to down the school, but they can't do that. They can't start you back at the kindergarten, but we can.
Right.
And we have a staff that's willing to do that.
Yeah. And you know, you say that the schools can't do that, but it seems to me there's a lesson there for them too, that you don't ever give up on a child, that no matter how bad things get or how far behind they are, there's always an opportunity.
I don't even know if the schools are giving up on them. It's just like, you know, you have a lot of restraints, a lot of red tape, a lot of politics involved, a lot of things that go along with that. We don't have that here. We know that a kid needs help with math, so be it, we're going to help them with math. You know, whatever that looks like.